What's good, y'all? This is Let's Get It with Coach Los. I'm your host, Coach Los AC, certified life and relationship coach that helps people fix or find the relationships they want. And this podcast covers the best relationship advice, tools, and action steps to get the results you want in your personal, professional, and of course, love life. So I hope you get a lot of value from the episode. And if you do, as always, remember to like and subscribe so you can be notified when I drop new episodes. Let's get it. The most important relationship you need to know about the person you're dating is the relationship that person has with their opposite sex parent. Now, it's important to know what the relationship's like with both parents, right? But the reason why it's so crucial to know what the relationship's like with the opposite sex parent is because the relationship with that parent is the one that they have their first love with. A man's first love in his life is with his mother or his mother figure. A woman's first love in her life is her father or father figure. Now, when we say first love, this is not a romantic sense, right? But the reason why it's the first love is because it's the first foundational relationship that man or woman has with the opposite sex, and understanding the polarities of masculine and feminine energy and how they work together. And for men, based off of how that experience goes, what that polarity he needs from his masculine to that feminine energy, how the nurture is received and how that experience goes with his mother sets the tone on how he starts to learn and understand to view women and treat them. So you're more likely to notice that a man that has had a rough beginning with his mother, right, where maybe it wasn't as nurturing as he needed it to be, or, there was things that kind of made it difficult for him to receive that consistent love and affection a certain way, he might grow to be more distant and less in tune with his emotions and less understanding and empathetic to yours. He may develop a sense of resentment for women overall because he didn't get a certain level of love and nurture that he required from his mom growing up. Versus maybe he had a really great experience, right? Maybe he got the love and nurture that he needed. And he got to grow more in his masculine energy and learn more organically how to be empathetic and nurturing towards feminine energy. More learning to protect women versus maybe having resentment and anger towards them. Even dynamics of him being overly nurtured, right? That's a thing too, to where he grows up being a mama's boy. And it's the things he doesn't know how to do on his own. He doesn't have a certain level of autonomy, maybe because he was being babied too much. And so he looks for the woman in his life to be like mom number two. These are all very important things to pay attention to with the dynamic he has with his mother figure. Just like women to their fathers, right? That man is the first representation in her life as to what it looks like to deal with a man, right? How a man operates, who a man is, and how you should be treated by a man, right? A woman bases her perception, her understanding of how to navigate and perceive men based off of how her father shows up and treats her as a little girl. This is why you're way more likely to find women that had a strong, healthy model of a father figure in their life have a way better sense of standards and boundaries for themselves, right? They know their worth a little bit more because they got a model example of that by a man that they respect and they love to pieces that showed them, hey, here's how a man that's going to love you to pieces should be treating you. But when that relationship's really toxic, maybe they had a father figure that wasn't there the right way. Maybe he was, abusive or just negligent or whatever the case may be. She starts learning to devalue herself, learning that maybe she's not as valuable or not that princess, right, that she should have had poured into her when she was younger. Maybe he was a toxic father and maybe did things to strike or hit her mom, or maybe hit her or something, right? Things that just is not healthy, not the way you show up to protect women, but more so you're harming them. And her interpretation, the way she takes that in life, is now she goes out and is really defensive towards the men she comes across. She comes in heavily guarded because what she understands about men on a foundational level is that they can be very violent and toxic. And now she tries to go into these new relationship situations with men. She might come across a guy that, a great guy. He's not someone that would do anything abusive ever. And he's really healthy and all those things. He was raised in a really healthy manner. But she comes in heavily guarded and triggered by things that maybe looks like it's what she experienced growing up, but it's actually not the thing he's doing at all. And now she starts self-sabotaging her own results because she's being overly defensive and, bringing a lot of baggage to the equation. And furthermore, no matter whether it's a man or a woman we're talking about here, the father figure in anyone's life is a huge piece, because whether you're the woman learning how a woman should be treated by a man and how a man moves and operates from your dad's representation, or you're the actual man that grew up with your father, right? You're still getting an example of how to treat women from your father, right? Yeah, you kind of learn how the relationship dynamic works when you have your mother to a son, right? But more often than not, the head of the home, right? The man in the equation that should be leading sets the tone on any child learning, here's how a man operates. So whether you're the son learning from your father, hey, you see your dad going out there and he's always been promiscuous with his mom all the time, right? And he's always been moving like this all through life. You might grow up having commitment issues because you never seen your dad fully commit to your mother. Yeah, he was always there, but he wasn't fully committed to her, and he was always with other women in some regard. And so now you have a hard time embracing that same reality to just be with one woman, because you never saw it modeled in your father. Same thing with the woman that has the same kind of father figure, can gather no man will actually stay and be just true to you. And you always have to, play detective and never trust a man because I saw how my dad moved and that's how men are, right? So both parental experiences is very important to be aware of, but definitely the father figure sets a tone for a lot in that home. The mother figure can as well, but a lot of the foundational structuring happens based around the person leading the home, which is usually the father figure. So when you're dating someone, you need to know and understand and get some insight as to what is the relationship foundation like with the person you're dating's first love, which is either their mother or their father. How healthy is that dynamic? And what do they think and believe about their father or mother, right? What is their perception of them? How do they feel about them? How do they go about nurturing and caring for that relationship? Is it all love and is it a really healthy foundation, or is it unhealthy, negative, and is there anger there? Because there's still a lot of hurt, anger, pain, hate, maybe resentment, all in them. That's negative energy, negative frequencies, and a very toxic foundation of operating from that you're absolutely going to become a part of, because they have unhealed wounds that's going to come out in triggered moments and be vented on you if you proceed forward towards a relationship. So if their first love relationship with that parental figure is not a healthy one, do not move forward dating them until they have brought that to a resolve. And if they can't go and bring it to a healthy, foundation with that parent directly, at least make sure they do the work internally so they don't carry energy that's going to carry into a relationship you guys may build together if you proceed together after they've done the work. Let's get it.